I want to ask you a question today. Are you strong? Are you truly strong? Because strength isn't just about what you show the world. It's about what's inside you when no one is watching. There is a crisis today, an epidemic of weakness among women. We live in a world that tells you to chase after the approval of others, to be blown by the winds of culture, to fear what tomorrow may bring instead of walking in strength and conviction. But that is not how you were meant to live. If you feel stuck in life, if you feel lost, if you feel like the world is pushing you around and you have no power to stand your ground, then this message is for you. Because today I will show you 6 signs that reveal whether you are a weak woman, and more importantly, how you can rise up and walk in true strength. By the end of this message, you will no longer doubt who you are. You will no longer live in fear. You will walk with boldness, clarity, and unshakable strength. But first, we must uncover the truth. Would you like me to continue the speech with the full content on all 6 points? A weak woman constantly doubts herself and bends to every opinion around her. She wakes up in the morning unsure of who she really is. And by the time the day ends, she has been pulled in 10 different directions. She looks to others to define her worth, her choices, and even her beliefs. One moment she is confident in her decisions, but the next, a single word of criticism or a questioning glance shakes her foundation. She second guesses everything, wondering if she has made the wrong choice, if she has spoken out of turn, if she has offended someone, if she is enough. She lives her life like a ship tossed in the sea, never anchored, never steady, always drifting according to the waves of other people's opinions. If a friend tells her she should think a certain way, she adopts that view. If a colleague criticizes her work, she doubts her ability. If society pushes a new trend, she follows along without question. She does not stand firm in her own convictions because she has not truly built them. Instead, she borrows her beliefs from the world around her. And when the world shifts, she shifts with it. This kind of woman struggles to make decisions on her own. She hesitates, waiting for others to validate her before she moves forward. When she does make a choice, she is plagued by the fear of what others will think. Will they approve? Will they judge? Will they still accept her? These questions haunt her, and so she remains in a state of paralysis, never stepping fully into her own strength, always looking over her shoulder for someone else's permission to be who she is. She apologizes for things that need no apology. She minimizes herself so that others will not feel uncomfortable. She avoids standing out, even when she knows she has something valuable to offer. Instead of walking with quiet confidence, she shrinks back, hoping to please everyone, but never truly satisfying anyone, least of all herself. She is easily manipulated because she does not have an unshakable core. People notice her hesitation and they take advantage of it. They push her into doing things she does not want to do. They convince her that their way is the right way because she lacks the inner certainty to challenge them. She becomes a follower, not because she believes in where she is being led, but because she fears the cost of standing alone. A woman like this may try to convince herself that she is simply being adaptable, that she is keeping the peace, that she is being considerate of others, but deep down, she knows the truth. She knows that every time she silences her voice to avoid conflict, every time she changes her mind out of fear rather than wisdom, every time she looks to someone else to decide who she should be, she is not standing in strength. She is surrendering to weakness. A weak woman allows fear to dictate her choices rather than standing in courage and belief. She wakes up with anxiety about the future, unsure of what will happen next, and instead of moving forward in faith, she hesitates, trapped in the cycle of fear. She fears failure, so she avoids trying new things. She fears rejection, so she stays silent when she should speak. She fears change, so she clings to what is comfortable, even when she knows it is not good for her. Fear whispers in her ear, convincing her that she is not strong enough, not smart enough, not capable enough to handle life's challenges. She begins to believe those lies, and as she does, she shrinks. Opportunities pass her by because she is too afraid to take them. People who could have been part of her journey walk away because she is too afraid to trust them. She builds walls around her life, not realizing that those same walls are keeping her trapped. Every decision she makes is influenced by what might go wrong rather than by what could go right. She avoids stepping out in faith because she is too focused on the possibility of failure. She refuses to take responsibility for her own growth because she is afraid of what it will require. Fear becomes her master, dictating her every move, whispering doubts into her mind, and controlling her destiny. This kind of woman lives in the shadows of her own life. She watches others step forward, take risks, and succeed, while she remains stuck, paralyzed by the what-ifs. She looks at strong women and wonders why she cannot be like them, but she does not realize that the only thing separating her from them is the willingness to push past fear. Fear convinces her that she is safer staying where she is, but the truth is, she is not living at all. She is merely existing. Fear keeps her small, keeps her silent, keeps her from becoming the woman she was meant to be. It makes her believe that safety is found in inaction, when, in reality, true security comes from stepping out with confidence and faith. She convinces herself that she is being cautious, that she is simply waiting for the right time, but deep down she knows the truth. She knows that every time she chooses fear over faith, she is not protecting herself. Fear is not meant to be a guide. It is meant to be overcome. But as long as she allows fear to control her, she will remain weak, unable to fully embrace the life she was meant to live. A weak woman seeks validation from others instead of finding strength in truth. She lives her life constantly looking for approval, measuring her worth by how others see her rather than by who she truly is. Every action, every decision, every word she speaks is filtered through the question, will they like me? Will they accept me? Instead of standing firm in her identity, she molds herself into whatever she thinks will please those around her. She changes her opinions to fit the crowd. One day, she believes in something strongly, but if someone questions her, she quickly backs down, afraid of standing alone. She does not hold to her convictions because she never built them for herself. She borrowed them from others. When the world shifts, she shifts with it. When society tells her to think differently, she obeys without question. She does not stand on solid ground. She is like a leaf blown by the wind, constantly changing direction. This kind of woman depends on compliments and affirmation to feel valuable. If people praise her, she feels good about herself. If they criticize her, she begins to doubt her worth. She allows others to define her beauty, her intelligence, her purpose. If the world says she is not enough, she believes it. If people ignore her, she feels invisible. She craves approval so deeply that she is willing to compromise who she is just to gain it. She struggles to make decisions on her own because she is afraid of making the wrong choice. Instead of listening to her own wisdom, she looks to others to tell her what to do. She hesitates, waiting for permission, waiting for someone else to validate her choices before she moves forward. And when she does make a decision, she immediately looks around for reassurance, needing someone to tell her she did the right thing. Because she seeks her worth in the opinions of others, she becomes easy to manipulate. People see her need for approval and use it to their advantage. They tell her what she wants to hear so they can control her. They withhold validation to make her desperate for it. She becomes trapped in a cycle of constantly trying to please people who will never be satisfied, constantly chasing approval that never lasts. She tells herself she is just being kind, that she is just trying to get along with everyone. But deep down, she knows the truth. She knows that every time she changes herself to fit in, every time she silences her voice to avoid disapproval, every time she lets someone else decide her worth, she is not standing in strength. She is surrendering to weakness. A weak woman avoids responsibility instead of facing difficulties head on. When challenges arise, she looks for someone else to blame, someone else to fix the problem, someone else to take the weight off her shoulders. She convinces herself that life is unfair, that circumstances are against her, that she is a victim of forces beyond her control. Instead of taking action, she makes excuses. Instead of finding solutions, she finds ways to escape. She struggles with discipline because it requires effort, and effort requires taking responsibility for her own life. If she fails at something, she does not reflect on what she could have done differently. She points to outside factors. If she is unhappy, she assumes it is because of someone else's actions, never stopping to consider that she has the power to change her situation. When life is difficult, she does not rise to meet the challenge. She complains, hoping someone will come to rescue her. This kind of woman often procrastinates on the things that matter. She dreams of a better life, but she never puts in the work to achieve it. She says she wants success, but she refuses to do what it takes to get there. She waits for the right time, the perfect opportunity, but the truth is, she is simply avoiding the responsibility that comes with growth. She fears the effort, the possibility of failure, the weight of expectation, so she remains stagnant, blaming everything but herself for why she is not where she wants to be. She expects others to carry burdens that were meant for her to bear. She relies on people to make decisions for her, to clean up the messes she creates, to provide for her when she has not put in the effort to provide for herself. She depends on others, not because she truly needs help, but because she refuses to take control of her own life. And when those people grow tired of carrying her, she feels abandoned, blaming them instead of recognizing that she should have been standing on her own feet all along. When conflict arises, she does not confront it with honesty and courage. She avoids it, hoping the problem will disappear on its own. When she makes mistakes, she does not own them and learn from them. She hides them or shifts the blame. When life demands strength, she chooses comfort. But the comfort she chooses is a deception, because true peace does not come from avoiding responsibility. It comes from embracing it. She tells herself that life is just difficult, that the odds are stacked against her, that she is doing the best she can. But deep down, she knows the truth. She knows that every time she runs from responsibility, every time she makes an excuse instead of taking action, every time she waits for someone else to fix her life, she is not standing in strength. She is surrendering to weakness. A weak woman compromises on her core values, easily surrendering what she believes in for the sake of comfort, acceptance, or temporary gain. She does not have a firm foundation that guides her. Instead, she bends to whatever is easiest, whatever is popular, whatever will make others like her. One day she stands for something, but when pressure comes, she backs down. She sacrifices her integrity to fit in, to avoid conflict, to keep the peace, even when that peace is built on a lie. She says she values honesty, but when telling the truth might make things uncomfortable, she chooses deception. She says she values loyalty, but when standing by someone requires sacrifice, she walks away. She says she values self-respect, but when the temptation to be accepted is strong, she lowers her standards. She allows her emotions, her circumstances, and the opinions of others to dictate what she believes rather than standing firm on unchanging truth, this kind of woman is easily influenced by the world around her. If culture shifts, she shifts with it. If a new trend tells her to abandon what she once held dear, she quickly follows. She does not stop to question whether the path she is taking is right or wrong. She only cares whether it feels good in the moment. She does not recognize that every time she compromises, she loses a piece of herself. She surrounds herself with people who pressure her into choices she knows are not right. She seeks validation from those who do not truly care about her well-being. And in her desire to belong, she ignores the quiet voice inside her that warns her she is walking away from what is true. She is more afraid of being judged than she is of living without integrity. She tells herself that these small compromises do not matter, but deep down she knows they do. When faced with a difficult decision, she chooses what is easy rather than what is right. She follows the path of least resistance, believing that strength is found in going along with what others expect rather than standing alone. She believes that if she just blends in, if she just keeps everyone happy, she will find peace. But the reality is, true peace never comes from betraying your own values. She thinks she is being flexible, that she is simply adapting, that she is being open-minded. But deep down, she knows the truth. She knows that every time she abandons what she knows is right for the sake of comfort, every time she allows others to dictate her morals, every time she chooses what is easy over what is true, she is not standing in strength. She is surrendering to weakness. A weak woman lacks perseverance and gives up when trials come. Instead of pressing forward with resilience, she starts with enthusiasm. But the moment things become difficult, she begins to doubt, to hesitate, and eventually to quit. She does not endure the process. She wants immediate results. And when she does not see them, she becomes discouraged. Instead of pushing through struggles, she looks for an easier way or simply walks away altogether. She has dreams, but she never follows through. She begins projects, but does not finish them. She makes promises to herself, but the first sign of difficulty makes her abandon them. She allows failure to define her instead of using it as a lesson to grow stronger. She sees obstacles as signs to stop rather than challenges to overcome. If she experiences rejection, she takes it as proof that she is not good enough rather than as an opportunity to improve. This kind of woman desires success, but is unwilling to endure the hardship required to reach it. She wants strength, but she does not want to go through the fire that refines it. She admires those who persevere, but does not realize that their strength came from battles they refuse to run from. She convinces herself that she was not meant for more, that life is simply too hard, that she is not as capable as others, when in reality, she simply has not chosen to persist. She allows her emotions to dictate her action. When she is excited, she works hard, but when she is discouraged, she stops. She does not understand that perseverance is not about how you feel in the moment. It is about remaining committed despite how you feel. She waits for motivation to carry her forward instead of developing the discipline to push through even when motivation fades. She avoids discomfort because she believes struggle is a sign of failure rather than a part of growth. She gives up on relationships when they require effort. She abandons goals when they take longer than expected. She walks away from opportunities that require patience. And each time she quits, she reinforces the belief that she is incapable of enduring, that she is not strong enough, that life is too hard for her. She tells herself that maybe things were never meant to work out, that maybe she is just unlucky, that maybe she is not capable. But deep down, she knows the truth. She knows that every time she gives up too soon, every time she refuses to push through difficulties, every time she lets temporary hardship define her future, she is not standing in strength. She is surrendering to weakness. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is clear. Weakness is not just about physical strength or external appearance. It is a matter of the heart, the mind, and the soul. A weak woman is not one who faces struggles, but one who allows those struggles to define her. She is not weak because she feels fear, but because she lets fear control her. She is not weak because she desires love and acceptance, but because she sacrifices her identity to gain them. If you saw yourself in any of these signs today, let this be your wake-up call. You were not created to live in doubt. You were not meant to be tossed by the opinions of others, to live in fear, to give up when life gets hard. You were meant to stand strong, to persevere, to hold fast to truth even when the world pressures you to compromise. Strength is not something you are simply born with. It is something you build. It is a choice you make every single day. The time has come to rise, to stop seeking validation from the world and start finding your worth in something unshakable. To stop letting fear dictate your future and start stepping out with courage. To stop running from responsibility and start embracing it with confidence. Strength is not about perfection. It is about perseverance. It is about standing firm when everything inside you wants to quit. So I leave you with this. Will you continue living in weakness, bending to every challenge that comes your way? Or will you decide today to walk in strength, to build resilience, to stand firm in truth? The choice is yours. The question is, will you make it?